tips that I've found worked with people who've been depressed, I've seen for many years, since about 1985 I've been working in this area. I think one of them is that as much as possible that they exercise, that they find a way of treating their bodies that they can feel healthy in their body. And
so it helps their kind of hormones and things like that to release
the
positively.
Endorphins and all that, which will make that, which if you really do a lot of physical exercise, hits the pleasure centre and you feel good about yourself. Momentarily, but nonetheless you feel good about yourself.
Okay, and the second one?
Well, another one is that they take an interest in something outside of themselves, and that could be a pet.
Okay.
I mean, people talk about dogs as if they were magicians, because they raise the energy, they change the energy just by being in the room, but it can apply to a guinea pig or a cat or anything, or even gardening and plant. You know, Monty Don, the famous gardener, he was saved by his passion for gardening, because he was severely depressed in his time. So taking an interest in something outside, it could be books, research, anything that requires you to go outside of yourself to complete the tasks and complete the interest.
Or maybe volunteering.
Volunteering.
For a charity.
Certainly helping other depressed people can make people less depressed.
Interesting. And the third thing?
That depressed people tend to be highly, highly critical of themselves. In fact, a psychologist who was depressed described it as living in a prison of their own making. And she was depressed and she knew about it. That each criticism is like putting you further and further into the jail of your own depression. So you really, if you can, need to challenge that side of your nature, the critical side of your nature. Not only criticizing yourself, but criticizing your environment and the people around you all the time will guarantee to make you depressed. So you need to find ways to challenge that. Now you can challenge that on your own, but that's, as it's so automatic, that can be very difficult. So it's also useful to have people around you who will challenge you when you're very critical, particularly of yourself. And that is really important.
And if you don't have those people, that support network around you, that's why counsellors are so...
Yeah. And they also need to release a lot of your anger, because it criticizes you so much, renders you pretty powerless in the face of the difficulties, because it's always your fault. So if you can begin to challenge the critic, not the criticism, not to take it away, but to make it more discriminating, to find out what is wrong that doesn't belong to you, find out that you can do something about it or not, but you have a rounder view of yourself. It's not all down to you. And that's really, really important.
Because
you get out the prison of your own making.
Because if somebody was saying it to us specifically and criticizing us in that way, we'd be able to stick up for ourselves. But strangely enough, we say things to ourselves
that we wouldn't accept by our worst enemy. We wouldn't accept our worst enemy. We'd give them a punch on the nose. They said it to us, but we can say it to ourselves, and we accept it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that sort of anger where you want to punch somebody on the nose is actually quite healthy, because you're saying, I don't want to be seen like that. I don't want to see myself like that. I might be like that, but that's not the whole story. There are other sides to me as well.
Exactly.
And that's where you need a friend to tell you that you've got other sides, so you don't forget that.
And that's why a counsellor or a psychotherapist is so important.
Can do that, obviously, but their intention is that you obviously begin to do it for yourself. But yeah, initially, a counsellor is in a good position to do that. because they take a more objective, maybe less personal view of these things.
So they can be objective in talking to you and challenge you with these beliefs that are self-limiting.
Yeah.